The film starts in 1943 on the Tibetan plateau, where a monk named Chan is in a fierce fight with his teacher. Chan emerges victorious, meeting the criteria to become a master. His teacher declares that Chan has fulfilled a set of prophecies indicating he is the chosen successor. Chan is then given the responsibility of safeguarding a sacred scroll containing knowledge that grants strength, youthfulness, and immunity to harm to anyone who reads it. For 6 decades, the master guarded the revered scroll until he found a worthy successor in Chan. Entrusting Chan with his duty, the teacher transfers all his power and wisdom gained from protecting the sacred scroll. As a result of the scroll's youth-inducing abilities, the teacher ages rapidly after passing on his power to Chan. Shortly after inheriting the scrolls and powers from his master, Chan's temple is raided by German soldiers led by a man named Strucker, who seeks to obtain the sacred scroll. During the assault, all the monks, including Chan's teacher, are killed. Before dying, the teacher advises Chan to protect the scroll until he finds the next heir. Chan bravely faces the entire German army alone and emerges victorious. In a one-on-one confrontation with Strucker, Chan chooses to flee in order to safeguard the precious scroll. 60 years later, in 2003, a pickpocket named Carr is busy plying his trade amidst the bustling crowd at the train station. Carr is caught in the act by the police but manages to evade capture. Unbeknownst to him, Chan has been in America, not far from the station where Carr operates. Chan, pursued by those seeking the sacred scroll, attempts to blend into the crowded station to escape. In the chaos, he accidentally collides with Carr. As they were preparing to leave the crowd, they heard cries for help as a little girl had fallen onto the train tracks, her legs trapped. Without hesitation, Chan and Carr leaped onto the tracks and rescued the girl. Chan admired Carr's bravery in risking his own life to save another's. After the successful rescue, Chan and Carr introduced themselves to each other. Unbeknownst to Chan, Carr had stolen the sacred scroll from his bag during the chaos. Carr parted ways with Chan and headed home, but he was suddenly ambushed by a group of men belonging to a pickpocket gang that controlled the area. They were displeased with Carr's actions of freely pickpocketing in their territory. Since Carr's bag had gone missing during the collision with Chan in the crowd earlier, he had no choice but to surrender the stolen scroll to the gang leader. He was then beaten and demanded to hand over all his stolen goods. The leader of the pickpocket gang becomes enraged and throws the scroll aside, accusing Carr of disrespect. Chan, who had been trailing Carr, retrieves the scroll but chooses to remain in the background, quietly observing Carr. As the gang leader prepares to harm Carr, a girl from the gang intervenes, persuading the leader to spare him. After a long night at the train station, Carr finally reaches his home and workplace, the Golden Palace Cinema. His compassionate boss, Mr. Kojima, allows him to live there for a modest rent. As Carr settles in and prepares to relax with a drink, he is startled by Chen's sudden appearance. Despite Carr's attempts to shoo him away, Chen persists, intrigued by Carr's demeanor. Carr attempts to push Chen away, but Chen effortlessly deflects all of Carr's attacks. Frustrated, Carr gives up and asks Chen why he's being pursued by men in suits. Chen remains silent and chooses to rest instead. Meanwhile, Jade, the girl who had intervened to save Carr from the gang leader, decides to leave the pickpocket gang. As she prepares to leave, she discovers her necklace missing and suspects Carr of stealing it during their scuffle. The following day, Strucker is observed entering a building accompanied by his granddaughter, Nina. Strucker still harbors ambitions to obtain the magical scroll owned by Chun and instructs Nina to continue pursuing him. Meanwhile, as Carr engages in pickpocketing on the street, Chin follows him and returns a stolen wallet to its owner. During their argument, Jade arrives and demands that Carr return her necklace, explaining its sentimental value as a keepsake from her mother. Soon after, Nina's henchmen are spotted attempting to capture Chin. Witnessing Chin flee, Carr intervenes to thwart Nina's men. This leads to a chase between Carr, Chin, and Nina's men, culminating in their seeking refuge in the cellar of an Asian laundromat. To their surprise, they discover that the cellar serves as a temporary dwelling for monks who have aided Chun in the past. The monks warmly welcome Chun and Carr. Chin then engages in a serious discussion with the leading monks regarding the suitable candidate to inherit the magic scroll. While the leader suggests several young monks as potential heirs, Chin privately holds his own opinions on who should inherit the scroll. Though he doesn't explicitly express it to the monks, Chen implies that he has chosen Kar as his successor. Furthermore, he is determined to impart kung fu martial arts to Kar, just as his teacher had done for him years ago. One day, after finishing their kung fu training in an abandoned building, Kar and Chen come under attack by mercenaries dispatched by Nina, who fire at them from a helicopter. Chen entrusts the magic scroll to Kar and then takes down the helicopter, causing it to crash. Chen manages to disable the mercenaries but inadvertently destabilizes the helicopter, causing it to collide with a large satellite dish on the building's roof. Tragically, the falling satellite dish ensnares Kar's legs, nearly causing him to plummet to the ground. Kar narrowly survives by clinging to the building's side, but the magic scroll entrusted to him falls and is swiftly seized by Nina. With the scroll in hand, Nina retreats with her troops. Feeling unworthy of being Chen's successor to protect the magic scroll, Kar sees himself only as a common street pickpocket. However, Chen reveals Strucker's relentless pursuit of the scroll over the years and the immense power it bestows upon its possessor, persuading Kar to reconsider. Meanwhile, Nina returns to base and delivers the magic scroll to Strucker, who eagerly anticipates its contents. Much to his astonishment, he discovers that the scroll contains nothing but a recipe for noodle soup. It is then revealed that Chen had absorbed all the knowledge and power from the magic scroll into his own body and mind, ensuring that it would not fall into the wrong hands. Feeling deceived, Nina conducts an investigation into Kar's background and discovers his residence. She visits the Golden Palace Cinema and confronts Mr. Kojima, who refuses to disclose any information about Kar. In retaliation, Nina murders the old man. Shortly after, Kar and Chen arrive at the Golden Palace to find chaos. Kar discovers Mr. Kojima's lifeless body, leaving him devastated by the loss of the only person who had cared for him deeply. Guilt-stricken over the consequences of involving Kar and endangering those around him, Chen decides to distance himself from Kar and refrain from involving him further in matters concerning the magic scroll. After Chen departs, Kar realizes that his struggle must continue and seeks out Chen in the cellar, the monk's headquarters. He expresses his desire to join forces with Chen and seek vengeance for Mr. Kojima's death. Impressed by Kar's determination, Chen welcomes him back. Meanwhile, Nina and her men track down Chen's hiding place with the help of a traitorous monk. However, upon their arrival at the cellar, they find it empty as Chen and Kar have fled through the sewers. Frustrated by their inability to locate Chen, Nina and her men arrest the monks and transport them to Strucker's headquarters. It appears that Strucker is aware that Chen has absorbed the contents of the magic scroll into his mind, prompting him to devise a tool to read others' thoughts, with the intention of probing Chen's mind. However, before testing it on Chen, he experiments on one of the monks, yielding no useful information. Meanwhile, Kar and Chen plan to seek refuge at Jade's luxurious home to evade Nina and her men. Despite Jade's previous life on the streets with a gang of pickpockets, her home proves to be opulent. During their meeting, they learn that Jade's father is a Russian crime boss currently incarcerated. Their gathering is abruptly interrupted by Nina and her men, who raid Jade's residence and incapacitate Chen with stun guns before whisking him away to their headquarters. Determined to rescue Chen, Kar, with Jade's assistance, infiltrates Strucker's base to create a diversion. Meanwhile, Nina begins scanning the writing on Chen's body, while Strucker regains his youth by reading the scroll's contents imprinted on Chen's skin. However, Strucker realizes that the last verse of the scroll is missing and pressures Chen to divulge it. Chen remains silent, prompting Strucker to resort to a mind reader. Just as Strucker is about to scan Chen's brain, Kar intervenes, allowing Chen to free himself. Chen and Kar engage in a fierce battle against Strucker, who has gained the scroll's power. Despite Kar's efforts, Strucker easily overpowers him, ultimately crushing him under debris. On the other hand, in the midst of the chaos, Jade confronts Nina in a fierce battle, ultimately defeating her and freeing the captive monks from Strucker's grasp. Meanwhile, as Strucker forces Chen to the rooftop, Kar, still alive, attempts to rescue him. However, Strucker overpowers Kar, threatening to drop him unless Chen reveals the last verse of the magic scroll stored in his memory. Despite the danger, Chen remains steadfast, reassuring Kar of his ability to defeat Strucker. With newfound confidence, Kar confronts Strucker and manages to overpower him, sending him tumbling down. Chun seizes the opportunity to extend a helping hand to Strucker, urging him to change his ways and repent for his actions. However, Strucker defiantly chooses to leap from the building instead. Returning to headquarters, Chan, Car, Jade, and the monks reunite. Chun officially declares Car as his successor to safeguard the magic scroll, transferring his strength to him and aging in the process. Strucker, still alive, attempts to eliminate Chun, but Jade sacrifices herself to protect him. Car retaliates, ultimately defeating Strucker, who perishes beneath a falling statue. As Car tends to the wounded Jade, he discovers that she also bears the scroll's contents on her body. Chun reveals that both Car and Jade are his successors. Jade awakens, her wounds miraculously healing. The film ends with the aged Chun imparting half of the last verse of the magic scroll to Car and Jade, symbolizing their unity and inseparability. So the moral of the story is, even if you think you're just a common pickpocket, you might end up inheriting the responsibility of safeguarding a magical noodle soup recipe and becoming a hero.